Okay, this is going to be a video about the city of Shenzhen. This is a very important city because if you're watching my channel, you probably buy goods that are considered quote-unquote Chifi, and this is where they come from. Let's go ahead and drop this down. You're going to learn a lot here, so pay attention. This is Hong Kong. For reference, you probably know where that is on a map. It's very close to Shenzhen. This entire area is designated a special economic zone, and by having that designation, they have a lot of rights and abilities that other cities don't. And I don't mean in China, I mean in the whole world. Shenzhen is a city where, because of its rules, a person from another country, and they do, come in and create and make and depart. And a lot of times, Shenzhen isn't even mentioned in any of the literature regarding. I'm going to show you an example of that because it was mentioned in a video. I would recommend that you take a look at Wired, Shenzhen, the Silicon Valley of Hardware, full documentary. It's got 12.8 million views. I was actually turned on to this video by a person that works in the government in the city of Shenzhen. And that person contacted me. I told him I was going to do this video. I'm just not going to be specific. That person contacted me about a year and a half ago to almost 2 years ago because I did a video about Chifi and quality control, and it was stimulated by the BGVP DM6. And it was a rant. And this person contacted me directly and said that to lump Chifi as a product of China and Shenzhen is different, and to check it out and to look at it. And they explained some things to me, and I actually wasn't in the mood to really hear about that. The conversation turned into him being a fan of Japanese women in particular, and also an actress that I think was booming in the late 70s. So I'm thinking this guy's in his 50s or 60s. He also likes some American stuff, and so his English is fantastic. He knows the people in the hobby. He knows about HiFi and how it was. I won't even get into that stuff. That's all. It doesn't matter. But it's fascinating to understand how some people that are company owners, when they started out, they were very humble and nice, and now they turned into super pricks, or vice versa. And I know actually who those people are. You can kind of figure it out yourself. They weren't like that before, and that's kind of in a good or a bad way. But I got that from this person. So this is a place in Shenzhen where you can create an item in your mind. You can send it to a place that's within the city, and they can create all of the materials that you need, the shell, the driver, all of that stuff, put it together, and you can have a demo of your dream on your desk within a week. And that's the way that business goes in this city. That's the benefit of being a special economic zone. And you've got people from Australia, America, Canada, Europe, all over the world mixing in the city, doing business in a way that's very unique, different from every place. I'm going to put Western America and then Shenzhen, not China, Shenzhen, because it's got a way of doing business that's very unique to the world, actually. In the Western model, why is this important? Because you can understand when you see stuff that looks similar to others with your Western brain and think, they stole that, I saw that, or no, it's not the way that works. Please pay attention. In the Western model, you get the idea. The first thing you do, obviously, is you got to protect your idea because that's your property. That's your mind. You came up with that. You've got to protect that. You've got to get a patent, etc. You got to make sure someone doesn't beat you to the punch, get something to market because they got tipped off about what you're doing, and file the patent first, and all of a sudden your dreams got stolen. So you protect that. That's a very critical point in doing business in America, but it's got problems with it. It's the way it works. You might think that's the way it is. It's got good points and bad points. And then you would go into production after you've secured yourself legally. And then you would have a supplier or a series of suppliers manufacture. These could be one and the same. There could be several suppliers, maybe one manufacturer, and then it goes to customer. And anybody that wants to use your property, your intellectual property, your creation or derivatives of it would need to be approved and licensed, or they would be sued and shut down. Give you an idea of that. These are hoverboards. I got one of these myself. There's all kinds of these that you can buy. I don't know how many there are. There are just so many. Within this video, there's a little part where they talk about this two-wheel self-balancing vehicle with independent movable foot placement sections. And it looks like this was done by somebody, Shenzhen, Washington, United States. This apparently didn't come to fruition in the way that they wanted, if I'm understanding this right, because some lawsuit kind of stopped it in its tracks. Well, they obviously, in China, they took it and ran with it. Great idea. Look at that. Let's go with it. Because in Shenzhen, they take the idea and instead of going to protecting it, they go into production. Like, check the feasibility. The customers are kind of not beta testers, but I guess in our Western minds we could look at it like that. So they need suppliers as well, manufacturers, and then they've got their customers. This is so far only different from the Western model in the protection mode. Everything else is the same, but then it gets to a different level, and this is how it affects Chifi. And when people talk about how Chifi has come such a long way so fast, it's related to this part right here that I'm about to explain to you. Other people can see this item that was manufactured, like a hoverboard, and then they can say, I want to make, let's take that apart. Let's buy one and take it apart and see how it works, what is actually required to put this together, because I want to make one that's a little slower, lower power, and make it, let's market this towards kids. They do this with everything, with phones, all kinds of stuff. Let's specialize. Let's make one for kids, and this guy will do this. Then there'll be another one that'll say, let's make one that just is like off-road. That's my type. It's got the really rough tire. It's got a stronger motor. It's got more torque. Can go over stuff. And you've got ones that are like just built for speed, so they can say they got the fastest one. Now you've got several manufacturers that are taking what is not a protected idea, and now they're going to get more supplies from the supplier who's going to make more money. Manufacturers are going to manufacture these, so they're going to make more money, and you're going to develop what's called second-level customers. And these second-level customers are customers that want that one that's made for their kid. This company designed it specifically for kids. Or this customer wants it because they want to do off-road and they don't want anything that's going to, fry out the electrics when they go through puddles. Or you can say, well, one company could make all of those. It's not the way that Shenzhen's model works. And this actually makes so that you have a more mature product, and also you create variety. And the onus is on the original creator to improve on their original design or watch the maturation to the final step of their idea and then move on, because it's not about this and lawsuits and lawyers. It's about making goods, and that's what's unique about Shenzhen. This is why Chifi has come so far so fast, because they will take something that's made by somebody else in another country or their own, and they will crack it open, and they will take a look at what makes it tick and then think, could they make the same thing? The BGVP DM6 graphed almost identical to the Campfire Audio Andromeda. You can take a look at the old graphs. I did a video about it. They were identical. I didn't know when I was comparing the graphs that they were actually both 5 BA sets. There's other stuff to that story that I could get into, but I won't in this video because I'm not going to try to cause drama. That's not what this video is about. The dark side of the city of Shenzhen was about 15 years ago, and it began with something called Shanzai, which is, remember when they were copying Nokia phones and iPhones and Beats by Dre, and they were selling it as being the same. They were counterfeits, and they were done intentionally for that purpose. They were copying and trying to sell things that were not their property. That was a mistake to my Western mind, because I think they could have cracked it open, looked at it, and do what they do now, which is say, we can do better than that. We can make this sound better, and we'll make our own. But they didn't have brand name value. They didn't have marketing. So the beginning, what people look at with Chifi, I think they put Shanzai kind of in that discussion. This is something that the person that was working in the city and still is, was trying to separate for me. And I couldn't even, they never said this word to me. I guess they thought I wouldn't understand it. I kind of discovered this myself, but it's called Shanzai. And that itself is not this. Shanzai is when you take something, you don't have the idea. That doesn't exist. Somebody else's idea, and you produce it. I'm talking about something totally different. I'm talking about taking an idea that you made up and then producing it, and then a bunch of people that live in the same city see your idea and try to copy it. And if you watch the video right here, that actually takes place with something that they made, and they laugh about it in the meeting. There's maybe some Westerners and some Chinese that are mixed together, and they're laughing at it, thinking that they're gonna make the people that are copying them look like beta, like they're back in the Stone Age, because they're gonna just improve their own item, and then eventually get to the point where you've maximized that product and it can't go any further, so you just kind of let it go. Room to grow, final thoughts. I'm going to talk about that in a second. I just want to go over this a little bit more. This is Nura. Do you remember Nura? Nura something, I can't remember. I remember seeing this because it looks like a headphone, but it's got the little IEM kind of tips on the inside. Do you remember that? I did, because in this video, this company actually appears. Nura. Now, I've never seen anything about them mentioning their time in Shenzhen, because they're in there, because they're developing it in Shenzhen and talking about, or the people just before them, talking about the ability to be able to like take a few models, like change this part, change that part, and send it out, and they'll have it on their desk in a couple days, maybe in a week maximum. These guys are talking about that, I'm pretty sure. You can watch the video and correct me if I'm wrong. And I'm not crapping on these guys, but there's a lot of companies that are not talking about their association with Shenzhen, but they're actually associated very deeply with them. So I'm taking a look at these guys. 2018, Australia, largest ever Kickstarter, 1.8 million. Taking a look at how crappy this turned out. Really, actually. It's a shame, if this is still true, that they made the most money. And the reason that I'm going to this is, here at Nura, we stand in solidarity against racism and injustice. Racism is an interesting term. I won't actually go there. This is Danny McCollum joins Nura, welcoming. Let's find out more about this guy. I'm not picking on him, but this is just so easy, and I figured this out in 15 minutes. We're thrilled to welcome Daniel. Daniel was born in Queensland, Auckland. He has called London, nice city. Singapore, nice city. Sydney, nice city. San Francisco, wonderful city, home. He brings his customer-focused brand building, team leadership skills to help our drive, etc., etc., etc. I don't see Shenzhen in here anywhere. I wonder if he's ever there. I wonder if he ever bedded for a few weeks to a few months and called that home, because he doesn't mention it. And then there's two comments that I see. One is from somebody named Lena Ling. Let me click this. Where's she from? Shenzhen. Skilled in sales, sourcing, managing, cargo arrangements, certifications, approvals. Basically from A to Z, for somebody like this guy to be who he is, and was helped by this person who's congratulating him. I don't know if he ever liked this or even acknowledged her existence, but he didn't mention it, and the company itself didn't really mention any association or development in Shenzhen. There's not any mention of them whatsoever, because there's still a kind of a stigma about Chifi and about our goods are, you know, we're Australian or we're European or we're Canadian or we're American. And so there's this weird kind of duality. People go there and use it, but they don't ever say, you know, ideas born in the wonderful city of Shenzhen. Or people don't say that. Maybe they should start doing that, because looking down at this part and seeing them talk about this guy and then talking about racial and equality and solidarity, and there's a disconnection there. I'm just not getting it. So this is the basic model. I'm going to go ahead and stop this portion and go ahead and do regular desktop. That's Shenzhen. That's where it is. This is how they do business in a very basic explanation manner. They take away the IP restrictions. That's fine if they're copying somebody ridiculously and claiming that they're actually the same thing. But I'm talking about actual idea born in Shenzhen or inspired by somebody and then produced there, versus the American model or most other countries where you consider it intellectual property. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this, and then I'm going to pin a video in on the end of this. So that's Shenzhen. And that is Shenzhen. That's literally Shenzhen. That is a much more attractive city than I imagined in my mind. I have no idea what I imagined, but it wasn't a city that looks like this. Very, very beautiful. Looks nice. Nice skyline. Everything is produced in this area, from the inception to the delivery in a box out towards you, which is probably out over here, to the airport. So it's a fascinating place. I'd love to visit someday. I'm going to close this down. There's a couple points I'd like to touch to be very critical about Chifi, what people are doing in Shenzhen. 2 points. One is, let's say there's 10 steps from beginning, the idea, to the final product. Let's say there's 10 steps. Very many times it seems like Chifi companies take 9 great steps and then they just say, fuck it on the 10th step. And it's puzzling to me. This is a good example right here. This is I gotta give this so you have context. JQ Audio White Knight. For heavy metal, this is the best set I've ever heard. It's a tri-bird, it's got a dynamic driver, it's got 5 or 6 BAs, and it's got 4 ESTs. It's a beast, and it's got a cable that is just nuts. It's got no microphonics, it's got a big, it's fucking nice. It's very nice. It punches with this 2 sets that I'm looking. It's better than the Trio, and it's better than the Empire's Legend Deck. It's better than the Trio because it doesn't have the disconnect and the hot treble that the Trio has. So this is a better set than that. And that is the Empire Ears Legend X, and it's got more bass and more treble, and it sounds like it does. It's a Flying V. I bought both of these, so it's my money, but this is a better set. There's a problem with this as a influencer. Take this away. Look at that box. By the way, look at the unique melody box back there, because it looks like the Empire Ears. There's the... And this is what this comes in. And I'm thinking, what the fuck is that? I thought it, when I first saw that box, I thought, wow. And then when I listened to this, that's when I thought, oh, shit. Because it became a handicap. It gets worse, if you can believe it. So let me put this over. Look at that. That looks professional. Look at that. Oh, that looks professional, too. Look, unique melody. Look at that. Look at that. That's what OFIs are looking for. They're not looking for what looks like little young soldiers with red scarves, which is symbolic in China, and is kind of nationalistic. I don't see American flags on the TIA or Empire. I don't see, was it Hong Kong, Korea for unique melody? I don't see them, I don't see anything like that. That's, nobody cares. That's nobody's interest. Who wants to see this? Or that. For an $1,800 set of earphones that is worth its money because it competes with other stuff in that price range, but the presentation is ridiculous. It's a little bit weird, actually. I don't understand it. Was this intended for the domestic audience and not international? Well, then there should be another box for international, because you could sell these. I hope the person that made these watches this. You, sir, did a fine job. That is a very nice set of earphones, and that is a wonderful cable that you included. And for $1,800 compared to the competition, legit. Definitely. Thumbs up. Would recommend it. Would love to do a shootout with other things, but it's hard to take serious when you're competition and you look so different, and not in a good way. And also, you don't need to waste all this material on boxing. It's wasting. Take care of the planet. Another example, Insects Awaken by Richo. What kind of name is that? Sounds like a witch trying to conjure up all the insects around her to do some kind of something. Insects Awaken. What kind of name is that? Again, 9 steps, and then, fuck it. Last step, just like whatever. What are we going to name it? Insects Awaken. Why would the word insect be connected with earphones in any way? You're taking the little things and losing money because the little things do make a difference. People didn't buy Insects Awaken partly because it sounds like a stupid earphone that people didn't put thought into, because if they couldn't come up with a decent name, what else could go wrong? Everything, pretty much. I wouldn't buy that set either because its name. It's not knocking down the doors with its tuning, but its name turns me off. That box turns me off, which is a shame because it competes with those right there. That's point 1. Point 2, representatives are the face of your franchise or your company. When people think of a company, they think of a name, the name of the rep that reps the company. And when that rep is saying that this thing is dope on social media, this thing is ill, or talking like a 17-year-old, and then serious people with serious money are asking them questions and they're being vague, or I don't know, why are you sending my stuff by 4PX? It costs $800. Sorry, friend, we'll try our best. Or what the fuck does that mean? Fix it. Change it. You're hurting your company with that kind of stuff. Get people that are articulate and intelligent to rep your company, because you're going to lose sales. You're going to damage your image because nobody knows the name of the president, not usually. And they don't know the name of the people that put these things together with their hands, but they do know the name of the rep. So when you got a shitty rep, you're hurting your company. Seriously. I know a lot of companies that have damaged themselves because their rep was a prick, or ignored people with legit questions and then shot the shit with people that were not even doing anything. When a rep is talking more with reviewers that don't even pay for the gear than they are answering questions for people that do pay for the gear and wait for the gear, there's a problem, and that'll start to build up and it'll start to eat profit. So number 1, take step 10 out of 10 more seriously. And number 2, the name of the people that are repping your company, when they act like dickheads or little fuck-ups to people on HeadFi or other platforms, they're damaging your brand. I hear it all the time. And then people send me screenshots of people saying stuff, and it's take it more serious. It's your company and you're in it for profit. If this person is a little bit immature and is not great at communicating, move their position to something where they shine better. Maybe they're better at something else. Maybe they're better at coding, or they're doing something, designing for the boxes, or maybe they've got a better skill that's not so much interacting with customers with legit questions. Seriously, that's another thing that is not on the same level with the big boys. When somebody asks Unique Melody a question, they answer it to the best of their abilities in polite English. End of the story. You can't always get what you want. They'll talk to you normally. Jack Vang and gang do the same. 64 Audio is top notch in that respect. They take care of people really well. There's no side comments. There's no skipping over people talking to reviewers while somebody who just paid for it is not getting their answer from you. They do better about that. You're losing money. I'm telling you right now. This step 10 out of 10, fix it. And fix your reps, man. Look at them more carefully in the way that they interact with your customers. The people that put the money in your bank account. Pay more attention, because they seem pretty crappy right now. Seems like the quality of Chifi has gone up, while the quality of the reps, the front face of the franchises, has gone to crap pretty much. There's only a couple companies that got top-notch people that respond in a respectful way and don't call everybody dear friend. And knock that shit off. Not your friends. They're your customers. Talk to them directly. Don't leave that away. That's got bad images of Chifi 5 years ago when nobody tuned anything. Grow up. And I'm out.